All right, today, triangles. We already did parallelograms for 6th grade math. One of the other shapes we got to do this year are triangles. So on your paper there, you have a rectangle and a triangle. It was asking you for some similarities and differences. Who can give me a similarity?
Same area.
We'll put it, but that's not going to be quite right. You said same area. We'll see that in a second, whether that's the same. Okay? Mason?
Both have at least one right angle.
We got a right angle. Anything else?
Both are the same base and the same height.
Same base and height. We got anything else? No, that's what we're coming up with. All right, differences then. Lacey?
One has 3 sides and
We'll just put this number of sides. So we got 3 sides, 4 sides. 4.
one has more right angles than the other. The rectangle has more right angles.
Number of right angles. So they both have at least one right angle, but one has 1, the other has 4. Anything else?
Well, one is a square and one's a triangle.
One is not a square.
Well, rectangle.
Yeah, there's a difference, but one is a rectangle. One is a triangle. Okay? So we got 3 for each. And so what we're going to look at though is, this one right here. We had same area as one of them. Do those look like they would cover the same area? No, not quite, right? So that's what we're going to try to figure out. Right there below that it says, if the formula for finding the area of a rectangle is A equals BH, or area equals base times height, how could we describe the formula for finding the area of a triangle? Anybody got a guess? The same? They didn't look the same though, did they? All right, so let's look at this. I've got a rectangle. And then I got a triangle, right? If the area on the rectangle, like we said, is base times height, what am I doing to this rectangle to make it triangles? Splitting it in how many? What would be another word for splitting? Dividing. We're going to divide it, right? So to go from a rectangle to a triangle, what you're doing is you are dividing it in 2. That makes sense? So it's either, you could describe it as half, or we could just put A equals base times height divided by 2. I write it that way, base times height divided by 2. That's the way I prefer it. Sometimes you will see it as 1/2 times the base and the height. I've found for most middle school kids, and even for myself, it's usually easier to divide by 2 than multiply by 1/2, right? So that's why I do it that other way. All right, so if we look at the rectangle, We got a base of 8, height of 9. What's the area on the rectangle? Yeah, so our rectangle is 72. What's our triangle then? 36. So for the rectangle, we did 9 times 8, right? For the triangle, we do 9 times 8 divided by 2. And that's how we got that 36. A few things with that. 9 times 8 is 72, right? 72 divided by 2 is 36. There's other ways you can do this. If you do the division first, what's 8 divided by 2? 4. 9 times 4?
36.
You see how that works? If you have an even number, okay? If one of these two numbers, the base or the height, is even, it's sometimes going to be easier to work it out with doing the division first. It just gives you smaller numbers. Obviously, you can do 72 divided by 2, right? But sometimes it's easier if you do the division first. Any questions on that? Not so bad, right? All right, so if we look further down your sheet, you got these 3 triangles. All right, so what is our formula? A equals BH divided by 2. That's going to be the same for all these. Triangle 1, what do I have for my base? 5. What's my height?
7.
And we're going to divide by 2. Now this is one where you don't have even numbers, okay? To me, it's easier to save the division for the end if they're both odd numbers, okay? Because you're going to get a decimal otherwise. So 5 times 7 is 35. 35 divided by 2 is going to give me 17.5. If needed, you can work it out. When you are dividing by 2, you are either going to get a whole number or something 0.5. So it's always going to be 0.5. But 2 goes into 3 once. We subtract. 5 comes down, goes into 15 7 times. At that point, we would have a remainder. But if we kept going, like I said, that would give us a decimal. We'll work more with dividing and stuff later this year. So, all right, what's the base for triangle 2? Height? So this is an example where doing the division first can help. What's 2 divided by 2? 1. What's 3.5 times 1? Yeah, anything times 1 is going to be that number, right? So we got 3.5. Y'all go ahead and do triangle 3. All right, who thinks I got it? Jacob? 112 is correct. How many of you did 14 times 16? All right, that take a little while? No? Yeah, I mean, if you're good at multiplication, it might not. What's 16 divided by 2? So if I do my division first and I do 14 times 8, we got 212, right? See how that sometimes will go a little quicker, maybe a little bit easier to work with, right? Again, do you have to do it that way and do the division first? No, I just want to show you, like, I do it that way if I'm working it out. Just, that's easier to me. You can easily, if you know what you're doing with your multiplication, you should be able to multiply that out. 14 times 16. And you get your 224, then you got to do your 224 divided by 2, and that gives you 112, okay? Either way works, either way is fine. I've just noticed over the years, middle school kids, especially in 6th grade, sometimes forget about that placeholder when they multiply double-digit numbers. So that's another reason why it's sometimes easier to divide first, okay? Any questions? All right, so if that's the base, that's not on your sheet. If this is the base of my triangle, my height has to make a 90-degree angle with the base, okay? Just like with the parallelograms, we have to have a 90-degree angle with base and height. So the base is here, height has to go straight to the opposite point. We see how that works? So that'd be my height. If for whatever reason, they give you this one, and that's your base, then that means your height is going straight that way. It has to make a 90-degree angle with the base, though. Okay? Everybody follow on that? Where it looks kind of weird sometimes is when you get the triangles like this, where they're not right triangles. If they're not right triangles, if we have, obviously this is supposed to be our base right here, this is where you see the ones like we had for the parallelogram, where you get like the dotted lines. So that makes our 90-degree angle here. This will be our height. This part is extra. It's not counted, okay? See how that works, though? Sometimes you get triangles like that. It's easier when they're right triangles, but that's not always what happens. And it looks a little bit better when it's a triangle like this and the height's on the inside, but just, you know, that's how triangles work. Sometimes you get the, obtuse triangles where it's a little slanted, kind of like that. All right, try that one. Again, it's not on your sheet. You can work it out on the boards or you can work it out on the side of your sheet. Either one's fine. Gray, what'd you get?
I got 132.
132 is incorrect. Robert? 66 is correct. Who could tell me what Gray forgot? Dividing. Okay, it's not just base times height. We got that divided by 2 now, okay? 11 times 12 is 132. Again, though, what's 12 divided by 2? 6. 11 times 6? Like I said, I think that's a bit easier. All right, so this is about as tough as they can look. Similar like we did yesterday with parallelograms where we had those tougher ones. Give this one a try. Jeremiah? 27 is going to be correct. What's my base? 6. All right. Why do we not use the 2? It's not part of the actual triangle. It's like that extra space just to make it so we can have that right angle. So we don't use that 2. What's my height? 9, because it has to be the right angle. And we're dividing by 2. These are easier numbers to work with, but what you can do is you can kind of change the order on the multiplication. And if you do that, you could take 6 and divide by 2 first. 6 divided by 2 would give you 3. 9 times 3 gives you 27. You can do 6 times 9, that's 54. 54 divided by 2, 27. Either way works. Any questions? That's about as tough as they can get. This is usually how they look. Lacey?
Oh, wait, no. It's 36.
36. 9 times 8 divided by 2. 9 times 8 is 72. 72 divided by 2 is 36. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 9 times 4, 36. Okay? Usually, it's a little bit easier like that. Worst case, it's like the one before this.